Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. Y'all know me, Nathan Schwartz, and joining me, the proud owner of Willis Reed Russian Nesting Dolls, Possible Chairs, Aaron Schroeder. Aaron,
yeah, guys, check it out. Willis Reed, what's inside? Another Willis Reed. What's inside? Another Willis Reed. What's inside? Any guesses? There's nothing in this one.
And joining us from the New Zealand outback, calling in a desperate attempt to find Chet Holmgren, trying to find himself, Dylan Williamson.
Yes,
Dylan,
hello guys. I'm high on a mountaintop in the Southern Alps here. I'm looking for places for Chet Holmgren to go into hiding and introspection. I'm close to the most remote area possible, but glad to be joining you guys.
Very glad to have you. Has there been any sighting of Chet Holmgren? I believe he was last seen like a week and a half ago or so, you know? I think game 5. Was he present at game 6?
Look, your guess is as good as mine. I've been doing my part.
Appreciate you, but we'll get back to Thunder in a bit. Right now, guys, we have the Spurs versus the Knicks, a rematch of the 1999 finals, a series that would go 4-1 to San Antonio. I don't quite want to say that it launched Tim Duncan into the stratosphere of stars, but it at least, established him as a guy gunning after all-time greatness, a 22-year-old, top 3 in MVP voting, wins finals MVP, best player on a title team. It sets up the Spurs dynasty that we've really never gotten away from. They had a little 6-year drought. Hey, Aaron, what does a 6-year drought feel like?
What does a 6-year drought feel like? I've done it many times over. Yeah, it feels bad. The Spurs really had it tough. They had a tough time in the 2000s, 2010s, where they struggled to find success. They're so fortunate the lottery is broken in their ways, and now they can finally try to get some success as a franchise. I fucking hate this team, man. I hate these zombie pieces of my Kings that every other team has. They're just puppeteering Kings players to the championship, man. I can't do it.
I was fully expecting to be like, what? A 6-year drought? That's like having it's like a 1-week dry spell. You can get through that in no problem. Try 16 years.
I do feel like, the Kings have made the playoffs. It's going to be 6 years in no time. Like we aren't making the playoffs in the next 3 seasons, 4 seasons, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I love the rematch. I do feel like this finals just means so much in that way. We're all winners in this sense. Either we have finally a Knicks title or this unbelievably young Spurs team and Wembanyama just to the top of the mountain. But, guys, like Charlie XCX said, I just want to go back to 1999. And here we are in the 1999 finals rematch.
Incredible.
I forget what year it is.
Aaron, were you alive? Were you alive when the finals were down?
No, I was not. I was born in November of 2000. So no.
God, that made me feel old. November of 2000. Dylan, you were alive, right? Tell me you were alive.
Yeah, man, I was toilet trained and eating solid food.
I
was living it up.
He's so ahead of me. way to mog me right there, Dylan. Already toilet trained.
I was development mogging Aaron.
I'll say my first basketball memory was I forget what grade I was in, but the teacher literally stopped class and turned on the TV to watch Michael Jordan announce his retirement.
Which one?
I believe the second one. I believe it was like 98. That doesn't make sense. Maybe it was the first one. No, I would have been in school in 94. It must have been 98.
You already graduated by then? Fucking ancient.
But anyways, we've got the Spurs Knicks. What do you guys think are the keys for the Knicks to making this a competitive series? And I should have brought this up, but a few weeks back, we got a comment about our dismissal of the Knicks and how Jalen Brunson, I believe they used the term mogs Tyrese Maxey every time they play. And to be fair, it was after game one, but you could have posted that after any of the games because it was kind of still true. What's going to be key for the Knicks? And maybe we have been too dismissive. They're here in the finals. We should give them their flowers.
Dylan, how much do you think the Mitchell Robinson injury changes what you thought about this series? I do feel like oh, he's going to add the physicality and size, but with him having this pinky thing, I really feel like I kind of swung the other way.
Yeah, like at first I was very concerned about it, but then I was like, Mitchell Robinson's not really a skill player. Like I feel like he could probably be 90% effective, like if he lost an entire hand. Like a pinky, you can tape it to the ring finger and inject painkillers that make it totally numb. It's not like it's gonna hurt his free throw shooting. Like, does it make it more difficult to tip out offensive rebounds? I feel like the value of Mitchell Robinson is his physicality, and just putting wear on Wembanyama, forcing him to really engage as a defensive rebounder, and missing one pinky. I think he could still probably grab rebounds with even if the pinky was entirely severed.
In the mid 80s. Go ahead. Dane.
Oh no, I'm right there with you. I think the thing that the Knicks can do that maybe OKC couldn't do is put more pressure on Wembanyama to rebound, put more pressure on the Spurs. Watching Game 7, and I was able to watch Game 7 in the following morning with fresh, clear eyes. He's kind of already knowing what was happening, taking notes. The Spurs did fantastic jobs having guard rebounding. I think the Knicks are going to do a better job of getting, keeping the guards off the glass, which is going to put more pressure on Victor to get on the glass, to get those boards. If you've also got him working harder against Mitchell Robinson, you're tiring him out. It's just having more big bodies, more guard movement, and this trying to win the second chance battle, as well as the energy and depth battle. Like just throw Mitch out there, get some physical aggression and try to make Wemby work for it. I want to see the Spurs have to pull out their Plumlee, their Bismack, their Kelly Olynyk,
all French vanilla.
Yeah, before
which they really didn't have to do.
Time.
In the last round, Mitchell Robinson only played 13 minutes a night, so maybe I am weighing too much in that. But he grabbed 6 rebounds a game in that time. What's his per 36 on that? Yeah, 14 rebounds a night per 36. Like, he is the all-time leader in playoff offensive rebounds per 36 minutes. Like, you just put him out there and he's able to really change the game in that way. I was going to say in the mid 80s, the Niners had a player named Ronnie Lott, one of the greatest football players ever. And he amputated his pinky because he wanted it'd be easier just to get rid of a portion of it and keep playing, chop it off than to, have the surgery and miss time. And I think Robinson should do that. I think he should just lop off that portion. Dylan's a great point. What's that going to affect? But it is so interesting. I really want to go over the Thunder Spurs series. That's just been. I feel like the Knicks haven't played in a month or something. It's been a couple weeks. Yeah. It feels like they handled Cleveland so quickly, and the Spurs series is just so fresh. But I do feel like the Knicks they're rolling in a way that we haven't really seen ever. It was their margin of victory, plus 18, at least at some point during that series. It was the highest in playoff history, second to the 56 Lakers, who actually lost that series, but they won game 2 by 58 points. So they kept their net rating record. But you do get this insane just Knicks run that they're on, and maybe they're just hot enough to win this title.
Can I ask you guys a question? Who is the third best center in the NBA right now? And why is it not Karl-Anthony Towns?
Who are our options?
Every other center in the NBA. Why are we not just
I know that. I'm saying, give me a ballot.
I mean, we just did all NBA ballots not too long ago. We put Chet on there. We
Yeah,
put Jalen Duren on there. I think the way that Karl Anthony Towns is playing, I think, is phenomenal.
yeah,
The what he's bringing, and I think especially as a matchup against Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs kind of downsized against the Thunder. They played Champagny, Vassell, Castle, and Fox. They were the other four starters. If they do that again, you kind of have to put Victor on Karl Anthony Towns, and Carl's going to pull him away from the basket, which will make driving lanes easier. Or, passing around on Victor, difficult challenge to do. But I think the way that Cat is passing, you can't just have him drop back when Cat's at the high post and say, "We'll give you, an 18-footer." You got to actually play up on him, and that I think this is the toughest center matchup that Victor will have had this offseason.
that's reasonable. I think that's reasonable. I mean, Towns is going to space the floor in a way that Chet Holmgren refused to do, even though, Chet usually is a pretty good floor spacer. He took 11 total threes in that series.
Mm-hmm.
Towns, I think he's only taking about 3 a night so far these playoffs. But still, if the game plan is for him to take long threes, like he's going to be into that. And he's going to be willing to do that. But yeah, I mean, we put Chet Holmgren third team All-NBA, and he fucking disappeared. He was gone. Mm-hmm. And in the Western Conference Finals, Jalen Duren was just completely absent. I did like Nate's Jalen Duren, my favorite English pop rock band, Duran Duran. You can add the accents to all these. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure it's Duran, isn't it?
I know. I'm not fucking with the pronunciation of all those, but we've seen centers collapse in various ways through these playoffs, and Karl Anthony Towns has been exceptional.
Yeah. Took down the dueling centers of Cleveland.
Oh yeah, Evan Mobley, Jaren Allen got crushed. I mean, they were just gone.
And as you mentioned, Darren, it provides a unique challenge for Wembanyama, as long as Wembanyama doesn't also, perform some sort of ancient monk curse that totally takes away Anthony Towns's heart and soul, the way that he did to Chet. That not only is Towns a more capable and more willing 3-point shooter, which obviously opens up the lane, but also even when he's not doing that, as you mentioned, his volume has never been especially high. The fact that he's more involved in the offense is also makes things more difficult for Wembanyama because, there was that famous post-game question for Shea where the reporter asked him, how can you get Chet more involved in the offense? And he stumbled over himself for several minutes and couldn't come up with an answer. Karl Anthony Towns is not that player. He is, it's just since those playoffs, Mike Brown has reinvented their offensive system so that he is the center point, and he's going to be involved constantly, which means Wembanyama's attention is always going to be on him, and he's got to stay involved in plays, which means he can't be that backline roamer.
And hopefully that will also have a trickle-down effect or a trickle-up effect to keeping Jalen Brunson fresher or longer because, God, Shea had it. I know it was a strong game 7, but Shea had a truly rough series trying to get around when all of San Antonio's defenders, and not just Fox or Harper, but Champagny had good moments defending Shea. Vassell had some great moments defending Shea. They got switches where it was De'Aaron Fox on him, and Fox, did all right. I think keeping Brunson fresh and trying to get advantages elsewhere that Brunson can then attack when the Spurs are already in rotation, that's huge. That'll be key for San Antonio, or key for the Knicks to be able to compete with San Antonio.
Honestly, I really want to just sit here with you guys and just bask in how insane this Spurs finals appearance is. And do you guys want to guess where they were in championship odds before in preseason? Just where they ranked?
9th or 10th.
Dylan?
I think I didn't even have them in the playoffs, did I?
Where were the championship odds?
Let's go. They were 12th.
17th. 17th.
Jeez.
The Thunder, the
Wow.
Nuggets, the Cavs, the Knicks, the Timberwolves, Rockets, Lakers, Clippers, Magic, Warriors, Pistons, Mavericks, the Sixers, the Atlanta Hawks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics. Of what we knew of the Boston Celtics preseason had a higher championship, had better championship odds than the San Antonio Spurs, who were right ahead of the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors. I mean, this team is the youngest Western Conference Finals and now Finals starting five ever. Just I've never seen a team launch into the stratosphere this quickly. Even like the Warriors had inklings of this in 2013 and 14, and then all of a sudden, 67 wins and a title. But we kind of saw that coming a little bit. Here, it just feels like I've never seen a team or a player just grab the throne like this before. And they're just on the precipice of really the most improbable championship run I've ever seen.
I was looking back through NBA history, and having a transcendent superstar make the finals early in their career happens actually very often. You look back and like even not saying that he's a transcendent superstar. Jason Tatum made the finals at 23 years old. Devin Booker, 24 years old. Dwayne Wade, that 06 run was 24 years old. Kobe next to Shaq did it at 20. Magic did it early. Larry Bird did it at 21. And Dwight Howard, 22 years old when he makes the finals in 2009. Like, this is not super uncommon, but generally looking back over those times, it's either a heavily laden veteran team, or there's like some other transcendent superstar next to him. It's like Kobe had Shaq, Magic had Kareem. There is the LeBron James 2007 run where he kind of did it primarily by himself in a very weak East, but still everyone else, there was more veteran team. Victor doing this with how young everyone else is has really only been done by the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder and Kevin Durant, Harden, Westbrook, and even then, that's just such a different roster. Where I feel like we knew that those three guys were going to be insanely good, and here it's like Victor is insanely good, and the other guys are growing, and maybe he'll get there. But like we saw some faltering from them. Harper's been good for a 19-year-old. Harper's been amazing, but he hasn't been there every game. Castle, 20 turnovers in game 1 and 2, who combined, really struggling without Fox, but they've all had enough of the moments, and there's been enough of the young guys, especially when you think about like Champagny and Vassell are both under 25 or younger. Like, this is such a young team. It's kind of wild.
They're so young. Even the Thunder team, like Durant was second in MVP voting in 2010, right? And so he was there, and then they get bounced, and then they make the finals. Like, this is like, all right, guys, like this team's healthy, ready to go, like ready to compete, and they just make the finals. Like, it feels like an accident. Like, and what you mentioned with Harper, with Castle, they are so raw offensively. I just don't even feel like this team is very good offensively sometimes. I know the Thunder kind of drag you down into the depths and make life hard in a lot of ways, but this just feels like the greatest defensive peak by one player already, because Wembanyama covers that much ground. And I know Bill Russell, whatever, all that time ago, but in terms of, since like the 3-point line has become a thing you have to guard and worry about, like, I just don't think I've ever seen a frontline defense be so physical, be so aggressive, and give guys so many problems, because it doesn't matter. Yeah, dude, go ahead. You want to get by me? Like, go deal with that guy. And it's just, I just think this defense is one of the greatest I've truly ever seen. Like, they're unbelievable.
Aaron, you texted me in the middle of the game that, like, years of watching DeMarcus Cousins, you kind of forgot that a big man could motor the way Victor did. And I'm guessing you texted that probably right after the Wemby chase down attempted block on Jared McCain in the fast break I don't know if that was the exact moment, but it's the hustle, it's the heart, it's on top of the skill. Like these are try hard guys that are also skilled and have enough of them that they can kind of afford one or two of them being off. Keldon Johnson deserves some props. He's had a rough series. Julian Champagny, I kind of thought Champagny might get yanked just early in the series, how he was missing his threes, but he is their like not their designated shooter because Vassell is also very good at shooting, but like that his role is to be a shooter out there, and he wasn't doing it, but he found other ways to contribute. I really hate San Antonio from years of being a Lakers fan, but these guys are good.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the Thunder, who built one of the deepest teams of all time, this 12-man, 13-man talented team, they ran out of players and they got out-depthed by the San Antonio Spurs. They were able to get more contributions from deeper in the roster than the Thunder were, and that probably made the difference. Like the Thunder ran out of players. They had Wallace, they had Shea, they had Caruso, and then they couldn't find two more guys that could contribute.
They got stuck.
I do want to just say, because the podcast realm shifts very fast, and I thank Zach Lowe for standing firm on the line as Bill Simmons would rant and rave about. The Thunder now need to go for Giannis. The Thunder should go for Giannis, and then hey, if Thunder win Game 6 or whatever, win Game 5, do the Spurs need to? No, just be patient. The Thunder are going to be okay. I think there's been way too much woe is Thunder, doom and gloom. They're now going to have to blow it up. I think they do need to figure out if Chet is going to be right mentally after that series. I think that is a real concern. But you went to 7 games with a really great San Antonio team. I didn't realize how great they were going to be, but they've been really great. Without your second best player, J-Dub, without AJ Mitchell, who is huge for them and coming on very strong, and you have a lot of other assets to kind of filter around the edge. Probably getting another big man in would be good, although Jay Will actually provided very solid minutes and did a lot of things that they want.
He was probably their 4th best player in the Game 7.
Yeah. I think we are very reactionary that OKC needs to make a major change. I don't think they do. I also want to remind people Thomas Sorber did not play this entire year because he was coming off an injury. And I said this leading into last year's draft. I would not pick Thomas Sorber if I was any general manager because of the injuries, and we knew he was going to miss the entire year. And I was just like, I don't like that risk. But it was a high upside play. Presti's going for big swings. Same with Nikola Topic. If he can, come back next year, they have guys that they've been kind of grooming and bringing up in the wings to play. Like AJ Mitchell was not a guy in their rotation as much 2 years ago as he was this year. Like that's kind of the Thunder way is get these guys in, develop them a little bit, and then they get minutes.
How many times do you think you can injure your hamstring before it's just gone? And for Jalen Williams, can you just pull it every other day and keep going? That's a huge muscle. And looking back, Jay Will played less than 40 games, right? And they still went to 7. I agree with that. I wouldn't make a move.
I'm going to take the contrarian point.
Oh.
They no longer have the opportunity to try to develop these guys. Thomas Sorber is going to get dumped because he makes $9 million, and the Spurs are the Thunder are about to be ridiculously expensive. He's gone. Nikola Topic, another, $8-9 million. They can't afford to have that sitting there as a high upside play when they're this expensive. He's gone. Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Kenrich Williams, all these luxury players, that's $30-something million between them. They're going to have to make cuts of these type of players. They're going to run out of these upside plays. And I think that, they've got assets, which is good. They can, maybe try to make a 3-for-1, saving money, giving up, overpaying in picks to bring in a contributor. But I think that they're gonna have to start making these difficult decisions. Like Jared McCain was a smart move to get a guy that can contribute on a cheap contract, and they're gonna have to make more of those plays.
I like it. That's a great point.
Okay,
Go ahead, Nate.
I do just want to bring up. I want to correct a little bit of the salary thing. Sorber's making $4.8 million next year. Topic is $5 million. Those, they may have to make a choice on Lou Dort at 18.
So yeah, $9 million between them, not each.
$9 million
Launch Lou Dort into the sun. Goodbye, Lou Dort.
Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe probably also gone. They're under contract for more time, but Isaiah Joe 11, Aaron Wiggins 9. You package those guys together with some pick capital, bring in a guy that's at 15.
I still feel like Jalen Williams is one of the 20 best players in the league. Like they'll get him back and just continue. I mean, think about the conversations we were having. They were going to win 75 games. Like they were unbelievable. I think they'll be just fine. Like I'm not gonna. You can't make me feel sympathy. I have my own franchise to worry about, man.
You wish you had OKC's problems.
Yeah, we just have to decide whether we want to bring Russell Westbrook back for his age 38 season. We're really kind of weighing the pros and cons of just cutting DeMar DeRozan. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I think to make things worse for you, and I feel like
yeah. Oh, what do you got?
Keegan Murray is a good player to be targeted by the Thunder.
Oh, interesting.
What does he make? What does he make next year? It gives them
20.
He's a player. Yeah, like he's a player with size who has shot well in the past, has defended, can defend really 1 through 4 when he's playing well.
This contract?
If you could do Wiggins, Joe, and Kenrich Williams and a couple first round picks and get Keegan Murray back.
Oh shit. Keegan Murray sucks.
That's
fine. I have been I just remember every single year, would you trade Keegan for Lauri Markkanen? Would you trade him for Pascal Siakam? And every time, yeah, I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. And our just stubborn fan base. But he's next year, his extension kicks in. It's 24 million, 26, 27, 29, 30. I don't see the Thunder wanting any part of that. He fits their mold, but
hey, I'll take your player evaluation of him over mine.
Well, he sucks. He can't shoot. He can't defend. The nerds on Twitter the nerds say that he can defend. There's a lot of nice
on his on the playoff run. I remember he defended really well. He had some really good plays gutting Steph.
Mm-hmm.
Which you shouldn't be able to do as a player of that size. But I guess his play has been clearly down since then. But the point stands that the Thunder need to make some of these sort of 3-for-1, trying to find guys who can contribute on a little bit cheaper contracts.
They will probably make a bad trade, just a terrible value deal. Because they have all the coins in the treasure chest, man. If I'm talking to the Thunder, I know you have it. I know you need this. Especially with the way the lottery has turned out, the evaluation of picks is probably a little bit different. And so you say, yeah, actually, the price of a brick just went up, and you have 40 first-round picks. If it was a different team, I would take a reasonable deal, but you specifically need to pay me more.
Yeah. Exactly. There's a Presti tax. It's okay, this deal seems fine for both teams, so you give me one more first round pick or it's not happening.
So what would you prioritize if you were OKC? What deal out there would you really look to make?
You've got to upgrade Lou Dort to a better version of Lou Dort, a guy who can defend wings and shoot, but who can actually shoot. Who that player is really hard to find. But that's the most obvious. No, because you want someone a bit bigger. You don't want Jalen Williams being the every game wing stopper. And I think having someone who's a little bit bigger, but who can actually play, like Lou Dort may have lost them this. I mean, you can't really put on one player,
Lindor
but
was rough.
them playing Dort probably lost them this game. They start with Lou Dort, even though everyone, including Mark Daignault, knows that you can't start with Lou Dort, or you just start off, you're down 6 after 2 minutes guaranteed. And then you've got to pull them, and then you start the real game, but you're already -6, and then you know 6 points in the fourth quarter would have made up all the difference, if they just had have gone with Caruso and not fucked around with Dort. And so yeah, I think that's the most obvious thing. Like it's unfortunate that's coming off the finals where maybe his value is at a low, because I think coming into the playoffs, like teams could really talk themselves into Lou Dort. They're like, this guy's gonna make 40% of his open threes, and he's one of the best defenders in the league. Like, absolutely, I want that guy on my team.
There will still be teams that talk themselves into it, and his contract situation going into this offseason, the Thunder have a team option. I think it's 18. I just moved away from the Thunder salary, but it's like 18, 20 something million.
17.2 I've got him. Yeah.
Okay. I could actually see them trying to work out we won't pick up your option and we'll try to sign you for 3 years, 15 per or something like that. And then that gets
the problem is that
really reasonable.
The market value for a starting wing is like in the 20s. I think if he's opting out, he's getting he's expecting more money, not less.
Well, it's not his option; it's the team option.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not going to if they opt him out, they're going to do it based on an understanding of re-signing him. And I think he's not going to take less money. If he's going to be opted out to re-sign, it's to re-sign for more. Like a 3 for 60 or something.
3 for 60.
Based on the value of a starting wing, like a guy who can, sure, he can't play in the NBA, in the most competitive series of the last decade, against an alien. He can't do anything there, but against 28 other teams, he's a really valuable player.
Fair. Yeah. I definitely think that he'll be back, or he will at least get re-signed. I don't think they're going to trade him on this contract. Maybe it'll be a sign and trade, or they opt him out, they bring him back for 3 years, even if it's 3 years at 20 a year. I think that's got value to be moved around the league. And in my mind, OKC has enough smaller guards that I would like a bigger wing that ideally could defend and shoot. Could you make Utah whole and bring back in Jared Jackson Jr.? Could you, Anthony Davis wants a new home. Can you just get salaries to match and send them to Washington?
Yeah. What you really need is what you really need is they need OG. They need the guy from the other team that they're playing. Oh, well, that the Spurs are playing.
Well, let's wait a week and see how OG holds up before we go ahead and crown him the Wemby stopper.
He's the Wemby stopper. I do feel like the Thunder can just. I mean, if they traded Lou Dort to the Chinese Basketball Association for nothing, like they'd probably be just as good next season. And they don't really have to replace him. Like, just they have the depth, they have first round talent. Shed that guy and move it up. I don't think Dort was playable, but he's still good. How worried about Chet Holmgren are you guys? I mean, Game 7 was one of the biggest disappearing acts I've ever seen by a player. He took 2 shots. He shot the ball 2 times. And my follow-up question is, have we ever had a player, a rivalry dominated so heavily by one guy? I mean, Wembanyama takes Chet Holmgren to Torture City every single time they are in the same room together. It's insane how much he owns that matchup.
God, I really want to say that this is the guy, but there was someone, I forgot, I'm drawing a blank of the name, but there was someone in like LeBron's high school class that made the NBA like a year after LeBron, and like washed out within a year or two. But LeBron was just like, anytime he saw this guy, it was I'm murdering in this man's entire career, because someone in high school said this kid was better than me. But like outside of that, you've got Michael Jordan versus Clyde Drexler. You really got Michael Jordan versus anybody that he says mine to.
That's probably the closest I would say.
It's a
Like
good one.
two guys of somewhat comparable talent, where
Mhm.
one guy just like totally destroyed the other guy, in both basketball wise and also in terms of his soul being totally
Mhm.
snatched.
He snatched his soul. It's insane. I mean, I think we had Chet in our All NBAs. That was easy. He's the second best defensive player in the league. Like, oh my god, take a shot, like shoot the ball. I've never seen that before.
It's almost it's kind of Clint Capella on the Rockets-esque, where like against 28 teams, like this guy is better as your starting center than PJ Tucker is. Like he's giving you more defensively than he is. But you're building your entire team to go up against the Warriors, in which case this guy's totally useless. And so for the Thunder, how much then is their entire decision making going towards, okay, we need to build everything to beat the Spurs because we can run through 28 other teams, but against this one team, this guy is totally useless.
We're moving into a different era. I really am so excited to do some more draft research and watch the draft and to see how teams respond to, the best team in the league. I know I already say this. I think the Spurs are going to win the title. I think they're going to win the championship, and that's why I say the things I'm saying. But either way, like I think teams are gonna build themselves to have height and size, and we're going back, guys. We're going backwards. Where we are heading into a new era where you have to deal with Wemby, and he's ginormous.
I've started doing my draft prep stuff. This is not the draft for big men. That's just the worst part about this is like there are not that many good bigs in this draft. You've got a guy like the Boozer or kid. Boozer is, I mean, honestly reminds me a little bit of Montrezl Harrell a little bit, a bit where he's got.
Yeah. Oh man.
Glowing endorsement.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a form of sixth man of the year, Aaron. Put some respect on.
He reminds me of Montrezl Harrell in the fact that he doesn't do much above the rim. Like it is all kind of below it. I love his game. I texted you, Aaron, this when I was watching him, that he's like a Paulo Banchero with a better shot profile and makes the right choices. He posts up smaller guys when he gets the switches. He can step out and shoot the threes, and he doesn't live in the mid range. But like, that's not necessarily the anti-Wemby. He's probably under athletic for that position. And Caleb Wilson has like moments of looking like young Kevin Garnett from a length standpoint, and just mobility at the 4/5. But apparently he came in multiple inches shorter in the combine in measurement. I'm like, okay, cool. So none of these guys are bigs. I think out of the top 10, you might get one center drafted close to 10th or 11th.
Do you like Mara, the Michigan guy?
No, he's from Michigan.
No,
you can't win a championship with a guy from Michigan.
No, I figured. No, here's what I'll say. I do feel like that we're heading in a size direction. Like even if those guys aren't centers necessarily,
sure,
they're big. They're in. I remember like when Kevin Durant was drafted, it's like, is this guy like a 2 or a 3? It's like I don't know. And all of a sudden, now he's a 4, plays a 5. Here's a great tidbit: if you play in the NBA 2K16, there is a dialogue line by the commentators about Giannis saying that basically he's still growing and he might one day be, quote, a 7-foot shooting guard. And at the time when he was drafted, like he was a 2. Things have just changed so much. And so maybe you do have this world where it's like we take these huge wings, but they all play at the same time. And small guards are just dead, and we have to be physical and rebound. And if you want to win a title, I mean, even against the Knicks, like they have Mitchell Robinson, they have Karl Anthony Towns, they're the best center in the league. Like they have physicality, they have huge dudes. It's how it works out.
And it's almost like Nuggets like, as opposed to like Warriors like, where when the Warriors were the dominant team, everybody tried to copy them. Like everybody was trying to find the next Draymond, a guy who can defend, bigger players and also space the floor. And it led to all these teams trying to, go for the sort of small ball lineup, these switchable lineups of trying to copy what the Warriors did. And then when the Nuggets became, that they're very brief, but when they were the dominant team and Jokic was the dominant player, teams didn't try to copy what they were doing because Jokic is so unusual. And maybe they learned from the fact that nobody ever, recreated Draymond. But they started building their teams with the ability to play two big players to try to counter him, and everything was sort of built in a way to stop Jokic. And I mean, going forward, that I think will be the way that teams go looking towards the Spurs is not trying to recreate what they did, but trying to build everything as a balance to them with a big that can shoot, with a big who can play very physical, get on the glass, who can set Gortat screens and offensive rebound. And that could be the way that we see it going, not copying the Spurs, but as a direct response to them.
What if Vivek Ranadive was just so far ahead? They should just cherry pick. Victor can't block the guy's shot if you cherry pick on offense and play 4 or on 5 on defense.
In one of the games, the Western Conference Finals games, the Thunder had an offensive rating in the half court of like 60 or something. If you're only able with 5 players to generate an offensive rating of 60, would it be beneficial for you to try to do that? Did you say, okay, like we're offensive rating of 60 in the half court anyways, let's just see if we can get an offensive rating of 50 with 4 players, and then we cherry pick on the other end?
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously
am I thinking of the wrong?
You'd be trying to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the screenshot in one of our group chats, and it was as they had an offensive rating of 50 and a defensive rating of like 200. If you could try to have a defensive rating close to like 120 with 4 guys, can you get the offensive rating up to?
Yeah,
to
that's what I mean. Yeah, if you're getting scored on like that, might as well just like you can't. If it's that bad, might as well give it a shot. I think I'm in. I'm into that. Vivek, I'll call Vivek. I'll let him know that we're thinking about it.
I mean, it's an interesting dilemma that the league finds itself in. How are they going to combat this guy? One of the interesting things that was mentioned on the Bill Simmons podcast was, will the NBA be forced to make new rules in the way that they had to do to stop Wilt, to stop Bill Russell's dominance, stop George Mikan's dominance? The advent of the 3-point line was thought that it would introduce guards, or the ability for guards to be able to be more effective. And we did see that as 3-point rose in popularity, guard impact increased, center impact decreased. But now we have a big that can cover out to the 3-point line, who has that mobility, that length, and who can shoot threes in and of himself. So I pose the question to you guys. If you could invent one rule to try to shift the league in the favor of the Knicks for the finals, what rule do you invent?
Wow.
I think the only way that you can create a rule to disadvantage Wemby is that you make the paint so incredibly wide. Because the real issue with Wemby is that when he's on the floor, you are almost literally never going to get anything at the rim. Like, I think I heard a stat the Thunder were like 1 for 5 in the half court at the rim when Wemby was on. Like, you are just literally never going to get a layup. And so you make the paint so incredibly wide that Wemby is forced to stand further and further away from the rim to avoid a defensive 3-second.
Bring back the trapezoid lane from international play.
Yeah, or you do the old anti-zone rules where like you have to be guarding someone. You just can't let Wemby roam. Wemby has to be attached to the guy that he's defending.
That's what I was thinking. That was my idea.
Like you have defensive 3-second, but it's the entire floor if you're not guarding someone.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. I think I just can't. Yeah, you can't bother this guy. He's too good.
my rule idea was that you have to have teams can only designate certain players to shoot threes. Maybe you get like 4 players that are allowed to shoot threes for your team. Even so, you can just kind of neutralize a little bit of the Spurs offense. But even then, that's probably neutralizing the Knicks offense even more than it is the Spurs.
Yeah, and look, the other thing I was thinking is the other way you can go is you take Wimby for what he is, but you take out the other guys. You try to build a rule to disadvantage Castle or Harper or Fox. You take away the gather step, so Harper can't get all these ridiculous finishes. You can call the off arm, so Stephon Castle can't do anything. Like that's the other way, is like Wemby is unstoppable, but let's just totally crush Harper and Castle and Fox. There's no gather step. You get one step. The Euro step is illegal. The WNBA step through is illegal. You you have to jump off 1 foot, and that's the only way you can shoot a layup.
It's 1975 again, guys. We're going backwards. I was going to say, I do feel like Wemby's dominance defensively helps me and Nate in our Bill Russell all-time ranking, which is probably higher than average. Because now you really like visualize, like, hey, it's to have a guy that just, you can't get a shot around the rim. I mean, Kareem said that, like, they had this guy, Bill Russell, you couldn't get a shot near the rim. And now this is what that looks like in the more modern sense. And with the 60s Celtics, no 3-point line to guard, you can see how they're able to have the best defense in the league time and time again. And it's
exactly like, hey, imagine you're playing against Wemby, but you also can't shoot any threes. Like, no you'd never score.
I mean, that is a big reason why the block numbers in the 80s and 90s are so high and like just went down ever since then, is because you were playing basketball where everyone shot twos all the time, and you see a possession where it's a Kareem post up, then a Magic post up, then a James Worthy post up. It's like, oh yeah, a big man could just camp near the paint and he'd pick up blocks.
Get blocks. I mean, the greatest offensive systems of that era, the greatest offensive design was to shoot your jumpers directly into the chest of a 7'4" guy, and that's why Mark Eaton got so many blocks. It's like, fuck, like, ice is not working. It's like, well, you got to shoot it over him.
Crazy ideas. All right, there's been another thing. Do you guys have any more takes, or let's get a games prediction in okay, for the finals, and then I want to shift to talking about the lottery reform.
Spurs in 6.
Spurs in 7, just because I don't want the Spurs to win at MSG. I can't see that happening.
God, I feel like a really shitty friend, because I told Richard I was going to be pulling for the Knicks, and I will. I will be cheering for the Knicks with all of my heart, soul, and mind, but I'm saying Spurs in 5.
In 5. Dang, in 5.
So it's a repeat of 99.
We're such a Knicks-hating podcast. We really are. You can't deny it.
I think I'm just out on the entire Eastern Conference, you know?
You don't want to talk about them. You don't want to talk about them.
Like, there have been so many stats about how great the Knicks were in their run, and I'm just like, they struggled a little bit with the Hawks.
CJ McCollum had him. CJ McCollum had him. He had him.
CJ McCollum was giving the business. And then it's like, okay, you played Philly. Philly self-imploded after getting over the hump of Boston. They treated that like that was their championship. Their whole team fell apart instantly. Cleveland had to do back-to-back 7-game series against really mediocre opponents. Like the whole Cleveland-Detroit series, I was like, man, whoever makes it out of this is not impressive. This is like a fraud off, a failure off, who can suck less a series. Like, I love Toronto. I've cheered for the Raptors for a long time. Maybe they've been my Eastern Conference team since I was like 8 years old, but not even longer than that. It was like 6. But like, Toronto wasn't good. Toronto was on the decline, and for the whole second half of the year, the fact that it took Cleveland 7 to get past them was really embarrassing. Like, the Knicks have not played anyone of any quality since like the second to last week of April, or second since the season ended, basically.
I thought the Cavs were pretty good. I don't know. I thought I forget what I even predicted to win that series, and the Knicks played San Antonio well in the regular season. They
Yeah.
win the
They
cup
won the
over
in-season
him?
cup over them.
The in-season cup, yeah, everyone's favorite tournament.
Yeah.
The in-season NBA Cup, the Knicks won that.
The other thing is you can't take anything from any of those games anymore because the Knicks are playing at a different level. The Spurs are at a different level. I think game one has potential to just be a blowout in San Antonio's favor, where kind of like when the Spurs played the Thunder, it was kind of a tone-setting shift where the Thunder were like, oh, we haven't been punched in the mouth yet this year. We just dog-walked the Lakers. We steamrolled the Suns. I feel like the Knicks have steamrolled everyone and haven't had a challenge yet. And I think the Spurs are going to come into game one just ready, and it could get ugly fast.
I agree that game one is going to be rough. I think that the Spurs are going to absolutely blow the Knicks out in game one, as they both run into, as you say, realize that there's another level of competition above what they've been playing in the Eastern Conference. And also, I think that they probably run into the rest versus rust. I think they're probably, this time off is too long for them. And so I think game one is going to be a huge blowout in favor of the Spurs. But I think that they will adjust and they'll lift their performance to win at MSG and to make it a long series. But I think that first game and maybe even the first two games are going to be very rough for the Knicks.
Do you want to touch on the lottery reform, which I think we may have a
Yeah.
little bit when it happened, but
yeah. Can I
Yeah.
Can I make a little bit of a point towards lottery reform and the Spurs, and to make an analogy to British history. And so we see the Spurs who have
wow.
these three great players who they've drafted in Wemby and Harper and in Castle, and they're about to become a dynasty on the back of those three players. And how did they get those three players? Egregiously tanking. And now the NBA has enacted lottery reform, which is going to prevent any future teams from being able to build the way that the Spurs have built this dynasty. And what it reminds me of is in the 1980s, Margaret Thatcher introduces a right to buy law. And so there's a million houses which are under state ownership. These council flats are sold cheaply, which enables a whole bunch of people to become homeowners. But those council flats are then not replaced, and the housing market then loses supply, and so you get the following generation both doesn't get access to social housing, and also doesn't get that huge influx of supply into the housing market that bring prices down, which creates a deeper division of wealth inequality in the UK. And I think that that's what's going to happen now in the NBA, where the Spurs are able to tank and get three straight great players in the draft. And now the NBA, now that they've got their dynasty, has said, actually, no more tanking, no more building through the draft by tanking consecutive years, no more Spurs, while the Spurs have already got their dynasty.
It's all Utah's fault. I fucking hate that franchise, man. I hate Utah. I hate everyone in it. And it's all their fault. If they played Lauri Markkanen, this wouldn't have happened.
Jared Jackson Jr. If they just play their guys.
Yeah. And they screwed over Memphis. They gave a pick in that Jaren Jackson Jr. deal. That came even because of the new, laws. Yeah. I forget what it is exactly.
The only team that voted against this lottery reform was the Grizzlies, who were like, "Hey, hang on, we want this Jazz pick."
It is so interesting. Go ahead, Nick.
I think that's the one thing that I really wish they had hammered out was like if a pick is traded, I think that it should be the receiving teams, their history. If Utah so Memphis now has Utah's pick. If Memphis had won this year's draft, I think that Utah pick that they have now traded for should be barred from winning next year's draft. Like, you can't win back-to-back drafts, even if it's a traded for pick. I think that should be the rule. And not like, yeah.
It's been brought up too that like this actually reintroduces an opportunity to tank out of spite, where Utah doesn't have their pick, and if they're trending for like the 6th worst record in the NBA, they might as well tank, get into the bottom 3, and then that actually hurts the pick that's going to Memphis.
Yeah, like if it's not your team's pick, you've traded away your pick. It shouldn't go by your team's rules. Like, if it's done pre-draft, and I think that increases some of the value in making those trades. It's like, hey, if Utah hadn't traded away their pick going into next season, this pick is barred from being top 5 for you. But if you trade it, it could be top 5 for someone else. That now is a wonderful trade chip that you could say, hey, top 5 protected, or inverse top 5 protected. You will get it if it's in the top 5. We'll keep it if it's out of the top 5. If give us some player, or like it gives incentive to trade the pick if it's more valuable to someone else. And I do think the trade market could dry up a little bit with this, where I've heard the idea that teams will try to trade to get out of the relegation. Who's giving them a player? A playoff team's not giving them a good player, because the playoff team is trying to be in the playoffs. The middling teams aren't giving them a good player because they want them to be in the relegation zone. Like, who's trading a decent player to a relegation team?
Guys, I don't like it anymore. I want out. I went off this ride. When every single team is perfectly 500, sponsored by Kalshi, and everyone makes the playoffs sponsored by Kalshi, and everyone gets to participate in the
except
NBA
the Spurs, who now win 75 games every year and just roll through them.
It's sponsored by Kalshi, of course. All their wins are sponsored. It's just, I don't know how we got here. I still like the lottery reform, because it sucked that. Here's my concept of just imagine you're a fan and you're like, I want to watch a basketball game, and you like click, and my TV turns on, and I find the channel. I go through all the shitty streaming services. I finally find what fucking channel the game's on. It's a fucking Peacock again. Like, what's going on? I turn it on.
Peacock streaming. It's my favorite.
and you're like, okay, I'm watching this game. And it's like, you assume that the teams and the players are trying to win that game, and that for 70% of the NBA season is not true. And I think that is just a fundamental error in sports, and why even have the season if most of it's just like, there's a ping pong ball on this random day, and that's actually the most important day of the season. I think that's just a fundamental flaw.
Yeah. I do hope that they broadcast the new draft. And I heard the idea that the way they could do it is you put in the exact number of balls as a team has, and you wait to introduce the bottom 3, the relegation zone teams, until the 12th pick is, so like those balls are set aside. And as a ball comes out, like, you treat it like a life in a video game. You're like, all right, that's one life if lost. And then whoever's balls get all eliminated, you're like, all right, now you got that pick. And then you keep pulling until another team's balls are all eliminated. Like, now you got that pick. I'm like, that could be fun, and it could be really intense. And if you start off with 3 balls, but your ball's the first one out, it's like, all right, now here's the new odds of where you could be. And I don't know. I think this could be a lot of fun.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
I was cracking up thinking about. Really cracking thinking about. I want that going on. I also want in the corner, it's Adam Silver bound and gagged, getting his ass fucking beat. That's what I want in the corner of the lottery, is him just getting his ass kicked. I just want those 2 things happening simultaneously.
And of course, any improvements to the ordering of the draft has to be met with improvements to the presentation of the draft, where this year's draft was so such a dull watch, as the so-called analysts struggle to provide any sort of insight.
Can we get rid of these interviews in the draft and the lottery? Oh my god. I watched the NFL draft. Oh, they're horrendous. You just got drafted. What do you think? Oh, I'm really happy. I worked hard to get drafted. Can't wait to win this team. All right, man. Congratulations. Next pick. You just got drafted. How do you feel? Really happy. Work really hard for this. Can't wait to win games. What are they gonna say? They're so like it's not the 2000s anymore where they actually might like say something interesting. Like all these guys have a script. They're reading off the same script.
I remember when Grady Dick got drafted to Toronto, and and he was in his like Kansas ruby red sequined suit. And he was like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna go kick it with Drake, and like super excited to see Drake. And yeah, Drake and I are gonna be homies. And I'm just like, okay, so I see why you're not playing anymore.
He's gonna be homies with Drake, man.
just on the outs with Drake. Yeah, I like it. I like the idea that now every team has a reason to be competitive. I do wonder if this is going to start re-skewing the age of NBA teams, where instead of just massively collecting the young guys, is like what we saw with the process era, Hinkie, era 76ers. Now teams would be more inclined to try to keep aged veterans that can provide a little bit more value. It's just does this extend LeBron's career to 50?
Yeah, that was my pre-pod take. Dylan wasn't here for that. I'll lay this out now. LeBron is going to play till he's 50 in the same way that Tom Brady played so long that anyone that possibly could have thought that the best quarterback ever is Joe Montana had died. And LeBron needs to get to that point where everyone who watched Michael Jordan in his prime is dead and they don't even remember him. It's just like stories your grandparents told. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm still playing. I'm still the best player in the world. But it does require him to divorce his wife next year. So when that happens, we know he's going to make it till 50.
See, I don't understand the divorcing his wife part of this whole thing.
You have to, because his wife wants him to retire to spend time with his family, and maybe not like a huge amount, but that's been pretty clear. He's always mentioned that, like, oh, I've got to, spend some time with family. You got to get rid of her. That's the next step. Just, separate that. But is that awkward if you're playing with your kids on the same professional basketball team after you divorce their mom?
Yeah, I think he's figured out the workaround. Like, yeah, I'm just spending time with my sons. I've gotten them drafted to the Lakers.
That probably bought him some time, right?
Yeah.
She was like, I need you to spend more time with your kids. And he's like, fucking fine. Fine, I'll spend some time with my kids. Both of them on the Lakers.
Yeah. His daughter's going to be the first woman in the NBA.
Yeah.
Look, Aaron, to quote Mark Jackson, I'm shocked you downplayed Savannah. And I would hit it out of the park, no question, with all due respect.
Mark Jackson said that on live TV, man.
What?
Yes, he did. All due respect. Mama, there goes
all due respect.
All due respect.
The devout Christian.
Devout Christian Mark Jackson said, I hit it out the park with all due respect.
I do think that the most stressful time of my life in anything is there was a couple days where it's like, all right, Vivek has decided between Mark Jackson and Mike Brown. And he's like really thinking. And I couldn't sleep in the days leading up to that. I'm like, oh my God, like they're gonna hire Mark. And Mike Brown was great. It ended how it ended. I had a great time with him as our coach. God, that was intense. Those were intense couple days.
Yeah, where's the Sacramento fan mentality at on like suicide watch, given the fact that this is the Mark Brown versus De'Aaron Fox after last year being Tyrese Halliburton, after the Luka getting the Mavs to the final. It's just kind of a rough 3 years for you guys there, and what could have been.
It's just our bandwidth is so immense. We live kind of vicariously through other teams. And so it's not like I'm mad about that. Obviously, like I'm upset, but it's like I know I don't deserve good things. And I know good things won't happen to me. And so other teams having good things doesn't affect me because, I am happy for Fox. I'm happy for Mike Brown. I knew Brown was a good coach. I knew Fox was a good player. The one that upsets me was Davion Mitchell because he sucked when he was a King and now is good somehow.
Is he about to be So there's always the chance that Davion Mitchell follows in the footsteps, and if you follow the trend lines, first it's Luka that made the finals that the Kings passed up on. Halliburton next. Halliburton's a little bit less than Luka, another point guard, or not quite on the Luka level. Now it's De'Aaron Fox, a little bit less. We're just kind of taking stepping stones down. Is Davion Mitchell the next step down in like the even this guy who could have been our starting point guard we had and gave up on? Now
That's a great point. That's a great point. I mean, Harrison Barnes also on the Spurs. I hated Harrison Barnes. I truly hated Harrison Barnes. He was so useless. But you know what? You end up on a team with a lot of offensive creators. They have wings. They have a great system, and he fits in just fine. I like the Davion prospect that the Heat will trade for Giannis and then make the finals. That is my prediction.
I'm excited for 3 years from now, the Mason Jones making the NBA finals will continue to devolve down.
Frank Mason will be there. Yogi Ferrell. Eventually, it's just like, how is this happening? I want it to become such like an event, like such a studied phenomena, where they're like, this actually is true. Like, we have to find the next Kings point guard that is worse, and they're just scraping
sign
the
Killian Hayes immediately.
Yeah. I thought Killian Hayes was pretty good.
You heard it here,
he's figured it out
first, folks. Russell Westbrook will make another NBA Finals.
But it's in 7 seasons when he's the next one. He's the next guy up. He's like, what's Russ up? What's Russ up?
It's gonna be like the Shaq teammates thing, except it's Sacramento Kings point guards.
It's a terrible joke, but if Cleveland had made the finals, we would have been in a situation even worse, because it would have been Schroeder and Keon Ellis as well.
It's so interesting because Ellis really didn't play all too much, and maybe he just does suck. Maybe it was always him, and he never was good. I thought he was great. He played 7 minutes a game in the playoffs this year, but
yeah. All right, gentlemen. Well, I think this has been a good episode. I feel like we should cut it before we devolve into complete madness. Any final takes before the playoffs start off, or the finals start?
I'd like to apologize to Knicks fans. We didn't celebrate them enough. Mondani. How the fuck do you say? Why am I?
There's a whole song on this. Mamdani. Mondani. Learn the name.
I stuttered on it. Sometimes I stutter on a word. I'm like, I've actually never said that out loud before. He brought the Knicks to the finals.
I can't even remember the guy's name. Who was the guy that he was running against in the primary?
I can picture his face.
And then also
Cuomo?
ran his end.
Yeah,
Cuomo. There we go. Yeah. Aaron had a Cuomo moment. He just his brain just wouldn't allow him to pronounce Mamdani.
As someone who attended speech therapy for a few years, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah. As someone who is a speech therapist, I probably should have had that pronunciation down.
Yeah. Little do the listeners know, I'm counting this as speech therapy. It's how I improve. I'm paying Aaron to join us each week. It's all HSA approved here. This is actually just an insurance scam disguising itself as a podcast.
That's true.
Dylan, thanks for joining as well. I don't know how you're profiting off of this, but
you guys are getting paid?
Yeah.
All right.
Play the music, Nate.
Aaron, where can the people find you?
Possible Chairs on Twitter, Possible Chairs on TikTok, my Patreon for the all-time ranking list that will update over the offseason, and this podcast occasionally.
Dylan, where can the people find you?
Deep in the bush in the remote parts of New Zealand, searching for Chet Holmgren.
You find me Nate_HoopsTemple on TikTok and YouTube. Email the show hoopstemple@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.